Good evening, good morning. Welcome to this month's small group. As you can see, the topic is Liturgist. Liturgist. We have a little conductor there. So let's go ahead and get started. What is a liturgist? Liturgist. I'll get it right by the end of this. Yeah, and I'm the one giving the lecture. Alright, a liturgist is just like you saw in the beginning first clip there. He's like an orchestrator, or she's like an orchestrator that orchestrates, just like you have a symphony there and the conductor is leading the orchestra. That's similar to what a liturgist does as they go through the service. You saw Chuck Knows Church and how they discussed what a liturgy is, kind of the playbook for how the service is going to go. And the liturgist goes and kind of directs and makes sure it flows in that way. It's a person that basically just sits down and organizes the worship, kind of like the coach on a baseball team telling, "Hey, you're up to bat next. You're on deck." Get everybody in an orderly fashion. Make sure the whole service flows. They kind of direct the congregation. They make sure that the congregation knows when to stand, when to sit, when they're going over announcements, when it's time for communion or offering, and they kind of direct them in that way, and let everybody know what's coming up next, and kind of follows the bulletin and organizes folks. Now, who could be a liturgist? Could be a lot of people. If you have a willing heart and you're interested in doing it, obviously you would need some training. Familiar with how the service works would be a huge help here, but there's not a set "this is what you have to be" criteria, job description for the liturgist on how you have to what qualifications you have to have. Could be a lay leader. That could be the person that leads and directs everything. In our church, when the pastor is away, the lay leader will step up and he or she will direct the service and make sure everything goes appropriately. Doesn't mean they'll handle everything, but it means they'll make sure everything goes according to the normal service plan, bulletin, or normal worship service. It could be another leader of the church. In our case, the pastor pretty much takes this role on, making sure that everything goes right, because we don't have any specific person that handles making sure. We have somebody that's going to be reading, that we do in this case with our lead leader, but who's going to be the acolyte this time? Who's going to be doing the worship? Who's going to be doing the singing or leading that? So our pastor actually kind of does that, but any leader of the church could do that. Again, if they feel comfortable, they have a willing heart to be able to do that, they would make a good person or candidate to be a liturgist within the church. Does everybody have this? No, I kind of just alluded to that. In our church, we don't have one. The pastor, we have a small enough congregation, the pastor kind of takes on the roles. He has said that he wouldn't have any issue if we had somebody that was interested in becoming a liturgist, or even somebody that would be interested in taking a section of the service. So that actually in some church services or some churches, the pastor is just there to give just the service. Everybody else or other leaders in the congregation or members take care and run the rest of the service. They take the other parts. They lead the singing. They do the verses. They make the announcements. They do the doxology and so forth. So it doesn't have to be the pastor doing everything. It could be mostly the congregation and the pastor just does the service. Or in our case, we do the extreme opposite, or you can have a mixture somewhere in there. This kind of really depends on the church itself and what they like in their church service, or the willingness of the members. You may just have members that want to come to church service and just take in the service, and that's the way they get the most out of it. So they really don't want to be an integral part beyond being a congregational member there taking in the church. Well, there wasn't a ton to talk about on Liturgist. It's basically a person that directs the service. We went over some options and different ways people can do that. So what I thought was we'd have a little bit of a discussion on general and annual conferences. We're going to give you a website, as you can see on there, umc.org. If you go there right now, our general conference is going on in Portland, Oregon. This happens every 4 years, and you can go to and actually watch them live stream as it's happening right now. That is if you're watching it while we're doing it live. If not, you can watch it. It goes on until the 20th of this month, and then on the 22nd our annual conference starts. Now the general conference will go on, remember they're in Portland, Oregon, so they're 3 hours behind us. So just remember that when you're watching the live stream. A lot of hot topics have been going on. We're going to discuss them in our discussion, and the different things that are going on there. And then our annual conference. And we'll have a little bit of a discussion of what's the difference between the two. What are these conferences? Is it just a bunch of Methodists that get together and talk, or is there a purpose to it? So we're going to talk about that a little bit. Alright, thanks for watching tonight, and be sure to vote on what next month's topic's going to be. Alright, have a good night.